Hello, everyone. It's another weekend, and it is a great time to be a DBDL fan. We have so many cool matches that are going to be going on this weekend, along with our anniversary tomorrow. That's going to be a super fun time. Make sure that you're here today, here tomorrow, here for the entire weekend. Bring the family along, or maybe not. They may not enjoy Dead by Daylight, but that's okay. I'm joined today with Prion, taking the first match today. How are we feeling about the weekend as a whole?
Thank you for the introduction, Egder. I'm glad to be here for another weekend of DBD League. And I want to talk about the match that you and I are going to be casting very shortly here. We have Cynic versus Eternal. And this match is so important, Egder, because we're getting down to the end of the season. Teams are clinching a playoff spot, whereas other teams are fighting for their lives to stay in contention. And in this case, Cynic is the latter. There is a world where they can make the playoffs, but not if they can't pull off this upset against Eternal today.
Absolutely. They're going to have a hell of a time trying to accomplish that because Eternal are the strongest team in the tournament. They did actually suffer a pretty nasty loss to Ariandel just a couple of weeks ago, which was quite uncharacteristic of them. A 2-0 as well. Bit of a trouncing for the favourites of the tournament right there, but they are still large in charge, 6-1 with an 85.7% set win rate compared to Cynic right now, who are 2-5, only winning 37% of their sets instead. So they have a really tough uphill battle to be dealing with. First killer is going to be the Cenobite. Pinhead back in the rotation once again. I feel like I haven't seen Pinhead in quite a while, to be perfectly honest. And what interests me and something that I want to pick your brains on, Prion, because you are the brains here, I'm the beauty, obviously, is that there's a slight perk differential where the Cynic killer is going to be running full slowdown with Pain Resonance, Corrupt, and the Ruin Undying combination. Meanwhile, Eternal going to be running Rapid Brutality and Bamboozle in lieu of the Ruin Undying slot. So giving up regression in favor of a more powerful chase. How do you feel about that decision?
It's an interesting one, and we've seen both builds like used on different Cenobite players throughout this tournament. And not to say that the players that are taking that chase oriented build are like losing out on the slowdown and it's causing them to get outed. It, if a survivor team is really well versed in the counterplay for Pinhead and how to run Dead Dog Saloon correctly, I think you need those chase perks, especially at the main building. If survivors are really good at taking hits for each other and making it to the strong windows of the main building, you're not really going to survive without rapid brutality, bamboozle, or even both. So the killer for Cynic is probably going to be looking to catch people outside of the main building in the other parts of the map. And if Eternal is able to play around that main building really well, I think Cynic's going to have a really rough time.
Yeah, absolutely. We are getting a little bit of information on exactly what these teams have to be doing to try and make the playoffs. As we said, Cynic currently in eighth place, staring down the barrel of being eliminated from the tournament as we close ever closer and closer to our playoffs starting in, I want to say, about 2 weeks' time. Cynic have to win both of these matches, put simply. They are not out yet, but if they lose this match here to Eternal, they are out of running for the playoffs completely. They have no way back in, and any victory for them after that is going to be all but cosmetic, right? But not only do they have to win both of those matches, but then Team Trauma are also going to have to lose both of their matches versus Ariandel and Calamity as well. That and a whole host of other small things need to happen. Calamity needs to lose to Sinners. Oh boy needs to lose a match as well. Like, there's so much out of the control here for Team Cynic to actually get them back into the playoffs, right?
Yep,
Um,
but after what happened last week, Cynic is the last hope of NA. So I think some magic is going to happen. I believe in Cynic. I've always believed in Cynic. So they just need to start on the right path today by upsetting Eternal. Like you said, Cenobite, Spirit, Unknown. Cenobite and Unknown are two of Ultra's signature killers. Um, but in my opinion, this might sound a little bit harsh, but all eyes are going to be on Cynic's survivors here. Ultra has been putting up insane numbers this tournament despite the team's record, and I think it's going to be on the survivors once again to match the numbers that Ultra is putting out.
Yeah, Ultra has been such a bright spot for this Cynic roster, but it's just not been quite executed the exact same on the Survivor side. Ultimately, there's two sides to every coin, and Cynic only seem to be flipping it one way for the time being as well. I mean, I understand that you are the pride of NA, the pride and joy. You're going to be repping them all the way along. Good for you. But we know my opinions on NA, and also we know my opinions on Eternal. They are the best team in the tournament thus far. They have done nothing to show that they are not. They did have a loss against Ariandel. But honestly, considering how stellar their record has been since then, and the fact that Ariandel are in a more middling 4-3 position, Eternal still very much the favorites of the tournament, still very much on top of the bracket, and still really overpowering onto Cynic. So, I mean, if we're talking about, your Twitch points gambling right now, maybe if you've got a little bit in the bank saved up and you kind of feel like you want to win big, then bet on Cynic. If you want to actually make some money, then bet on Eternal. Something along those lines, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Egder. And you really can't blame Eternal for losing one set to Ariandel. Ariandel has not been super consistent in this tournament, like to the level of Eternal, but they are absolutely a team that you do not want to face in an elimination match. Like on their good days, they have been, like we saw, better than Eternal. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is just not something that you want to go against in like a elimination match, a lower bracket match. You don't want to face this team when their backs are against the wall. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, very streaky, I think. That what's that thing about how something about the strength of a cornered animal that Ariandel seem to have. Cynic are going to need some of that strength today because they have a hell of a matchup facing for them. We did briefly go through our first matchup on the Pinhead. We also have and Spirit and Unknown to be dealing with. So we're going to be very much enjoying Wrecker's Yard here for Spirit. Builds are mostly the exact same, but what we can see is that Cynic Killer are opting more for the late game with that Noed, which I feel like is quite an interesting choice because oftentimes on Spirit is a higher tier killer. It isn't uncommon to be, getting your kills in before all the gens are completed. 4K1, 4K2, probably the more common the conditions on Spirit. So I do find it maybe a little bit strange that Cynic are resigning themselves to getting to the end game to have that similar level of value. Remember that the primary win condition is gens overall. So if if the survivor side completes 5 generators, then that, I mean, yeah, no, it'll probably get you some value, especially if you've managed to tunnel someone out of the game up to that point. But I still just find it a bit of a confusing decision on a killer that is more than capable of ending the game without Noed before the generators get completed. It seems an interesting point to not maybe opt into slightly more regression to just kind of delay those gens even longer.
Yeah, and you know what, Hector? I think I actually see what Ultra is going for there with that build, and you
Right.
know what? I actually agree with it. It's
Okay.
if you look at the pick and ban, Eternal is the team that picked Spirit, and if you look at the previous weeks, I don't think Cynic is not a Spirit team. You never see them picking Spirit. Ultra is not necessarily known as like a big Spirit player, so bringing Noed here, I think, is just a safe option for Ultra um, to get some extra stages. And you know that when Eternal is the team that is picking Spirit, their survivors are going to be extremely confident against the killer as well. Because, I mean, they're also going to have Zaka playing the Spirit on the other side.
Mhm.
And I think it's a mitigation tactic for Cynic in a set that they know is not favored to them.
I think like if we were making kind of if we had to start on a tier list of making comp DVD killer players, we would have to be putting Zaka like comfortably S tier. I don't think that's really up for debate. It is kind of a rough matchup to deal with, but it does seem a little bit like Cynic would be residing themselves to a loss. I mean, getting to the end game and getting all 12 stages due to know it is great, but kind of resigning yourself to the fact that okay, well, we're expecting this because there's a strong possibility that we do not get all the gens completed on the survivor side. it just seems a little bit strange to me, but we'll agree to disagree and we'll be seeing how it gets executed in game. And speaking of execution, we have the unknown for the tiebreaker matchup. There is a Devour Hope on the field. That interests me. Do you want to?
Wait,
Again, you're the brain here.
and which team is that Devour Hope on?
That is Eternal. That is Eternal Brain Devour Hope.
Okay, then hold on 1 second. Where are you seeing these builds?
The perks.
Okay, perks channel.
Perks page.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Let's see here.
You're fact checking. It's a little. It is a little hard to
I see.
believe.
Okay, I see. Yeah, and you know what? I was when you said that there's a Devour Hope on the field for Eternal, I was immediately visualizing what the rest of the build would be, and I was exactly correct. And it's with the Ruin Pentimento.
Mhm.
So the play that Nightlight is going for there is something that I've actually done myself when I play the Unknown, and it's really smart, which is teams don't want to cleanse Ruin when they're ahead in a match because they know that Pentimento is there. So they'll see a Devour and think that it's Ruin, not cleanse it. And then it activates later.
Yeah, I mean, it's all for I mean, it's all yet to be determined, right? So we should be. It'll be interesting to see as we do actually get to go into our first matchup. Yeah, if we are able to get into our first matchup here today. Boy. Yeah. Okay, we're going to be
Yeah.
opening up on the. So, so it turns out that we are not meant to be talking about builds. Did not know that, unfortunately. We are going to be opening up here on the Cenobite right now, going into our first matchup for the time being. And yeah, okay, it's time to see what Ultra can do, opening up on the Dead Dog Saloon here.
Yeah, so Ultra here on the Cenobite. It is one of his signature killers. This is a matchup where both of the teams are very satisfied with the killer that they've picked here. Looks like Ultra's found the box. He's actually sitting there and waiting before solving it. Interesting. Maybe trying to fake the survivors out a little bit, but he finds multiple survivors with the scream from solving the box. And like I said before, all of the survivors are gravitating towards the main building, Egder.
Yeah, everyone's going to be gravitating towards the main building. You were mentioning before about how safe it would be to run over here. Did find the box early. Chain going to be missing onto Nightlight, so giving yourself a little bit of time to deal with, to focus on main right now. Dan finding the box in the meantime. Chain onto Nightlight is going to be allowing that hit to come through. Going to be seeing if the rotation comes right back over to the main building. As it doesn't actually seem like Ultra wants to commit super hard. Did try and get that chain off to apply the deep wound, but not going to be getting it in the end. Instead, just going to be returning over to these generators. Actually, kind of surveying the shack right
He
now.
wants to find Dan with the box, is what's going on here. Nightlight escaped towards the main building. Ultra shot one chain at him, but didn't really want to commit. And he's found Spitz here instead near the water tower. Dan now solving the box. Ultra was not able to sniff him out. That's pretty big for Eternal. They're going to be able to end the chain hunt here. As Chase now onto Spitz at the water tower. Good chain there from Ultra. Spitz, though, is going to make the fast fall on that water tower pallet. He slow vaults back, and now he's going to take a hit. I'm not sure. I think he was chained up there, and maybe that's why he was slow vaulting. Next chain going to come in. Very precise there from Ultra, but Spitz has a lot of distance, and I think he is going to make the shack here.
Yeah, has a full shack to work with. The wall not going to be leaving there. Does end up getting the chain through onto the shack to delay a little bit, forcing Spitz to leave here. Not going to be able to play this any longer before returning back to the main building. Chain in a pretty rough spot, but this is the teamwork that we're talking about. Zaka is right there to be taking the hit. And, I mean, all these regression perks are great. Not so much when two of them are gone from the game, but, you know, your pain resonance is good on paper, but you need to actually down someone. You need to hook them for it to be effective. You might have a point about why it could be necessary to bring along some of these chase perks when you have to deal with the main building of Dead Dog. Even when you get rid of some of these walls, it's still a really rough one to have to run as killer.
Yep, so another chain here landing onto Spitz. Ultra takes the vault on the window. Spitz is going to be chained up once again, and this should be a down unless there's somebody else to body block here. And there's a head-on coming out from Zaka. Very nice play there from Zaka. Did that while injured and in deep wound as well. Ultra misses the chain. He might be a little disoriented here. And Eternal is finally taking their chase away from the main building. Nice dodge there from Zaka on the pallet. Very good flare away from the chain. Good prediction from him. This chase is starting to take a while for Ultra. Another solve on the box is coming out in the distance. That's going to be Dan again. And Ultra here, he might be able to finally get the down onto Zaka. No, he goes for the chain.
It's kind of interesting.
Playing
that
chicken.
Seemed like, yeah, I mean, it seemed barely like Ultra had the distance to make that hit through the pallet anyway, but he played it a little bit safe, and it clearly did work out. Take a couple of extra seconds. It's not a particularly strong pallet, so if you can get the chain off, then it is just a bit freer for you. Does buy a fair few seconds for the survivors, and you're actually going to be able to pressure out the gallows as well. Dan is going to be dropping here a little bit early, probably positioning for the unhook right now, but a really strange situation. Now gets injured, going to have to run away. I mean, if Dan was going for the unhook there, that would have been very early to do it. You have a lot more hang time left on Zaka.
I'm really confused as to what Dan was doing there, because he was working on the main building generator, which had a significant bit of progress, but he chose to just leave it and drop down. That's going to be one generator finished by the water tower. So Eternal has very significant progress on 3 different generators. The Gallows generator is about 70 to 80%, and then we have about 60 on the main building gen. So Ultra in a pretty good spot here if he's able to get Zaka to second stage. Another solve on the box coming. He's got information onto 2 survivors that are healing, and he's going to make a bet that the 3rd survivor can't get back to Zaka's hook in time to save him before second, and he is correct. So Zaka is going to go second stage. Now, Ultra is probably going to be looking to tunnel him straight off the hook with the original pain. That would be pretty huge for Cynic here, as Ultra knows that 2 generators are pretty close to popping. So he needs to get this into the 3v1 as quickly as possible.
Yeah, needs to be trying right here. Going to be just seeming happy to get Zaka all the way down to just camping him all the way to death right now. So this is going to buy time for the rest of these survivors to work on these generators. And I mean, it was a pretty strong start to the game for Eternal, but it hasn't seemed like they've capitalized on it as well as they potentially could have. They did have to spend a lot of time dealing with that Ruin Undying, and Ultra was actually doing a pretty good job of forcing these survivors away from the gen so that Ruin could do the work before this. So seeing how long has actually passed in the game, we should be maybe getting a 2nd gen popping by the time Zaka dies, which is going to be right now. Should be getting maybe a 2nd gen popping, but that's not really great for the survivor side.
No, this is really not good for Eternal, but these are the situations where, you know how people always say, comp is all just pre-dropping pallets? In this situation where Zaka has died at 4 gens, this is where all of that goes away, and you're going to see the survivors, they need to show what they can do in chase right now. They need a seriously long chase against Ultra. Nightlight's going to take a hit in the Gallows area. Chain coming out from Ultra. It's going to land. Is he going to make the pallet? And no, Nightlight does go down. These are the situations where these guys need to juice up. They need to show their 1v1 skills, maybe get some spins, make something out of nothing on a unsafe pallet. I mean, with the situation, Zaka dead at 4 gens, Ultra, he just needs to convert on these chases in the 3v1 to get a huge result here for Cynic.
Yeah, just doing a really good job right now is Ultra, and interesting seems to be sticking around Nightlight just for a little bit longer. Can kind of... You remember that you have that kind of proverbial long arm as the Cenobite. You're able to pressure gens from a little bit of a distance, realizing that you might actually be having a survivor nearby who you might want to be finding out here. There's going to be someone positioning for the unhook, and it is Spitz trying to position for the unhook onto Nightlight there, who is going to be hanging for quite a while, but Ultra seems very reluctant to just give up Nightlight right now. He's going to stay here until at least 2nd stage.
And he's correct to be suspicious. He knows that there was that generator in the street, and then the one over by the left in the corner had quite a bit of progress. So he knows that there was a survivor somewhere near here. It was Dan that finished the generator all the way over by the main building. So Ultra was very suspicious of Spitz being in this Gallows area and he was correct. So Nightlight is going to go second. Now checking the main building once again. And what will Ultra decide to do here? Is he going to go back and tunnel Nightlight, or is he going to look for a fresh hook for the Pain Resonance? If I were Ultra here, I would absolutely tunnel Nightlight. And here comes the chain. It will land. That's going to be the original Pain. And he gets hit through the pallet. That's so painful for Nightlight. Oh no.
Really surprised that hit came through, but it doesn't matter right now if you're Ultra. You're very happy about that one. Dan going to be forced to pick up the box and deal with it in the meanwhile as Nightlight just goes all the way to death right now. You only have 2 survivors left and 2 generators left. You're in a impossible spot for the survivors right now. There is almost no way that another gen gets done. What you're relying on is for Spitz or Dan to just kind of run the entirety of the map extremely well to buy enough time for another generator to be completed. But when you're being harassed with Ultra's chains like this constantly, it's a lot easier said than done. This main building gen is relatively well progressed, and Dan is going to be forced to give away their position with the box for the time being as well. And it is going to be a teleport coming through, which means Dan got to be ready to take a long chase here, brother.
Yeah, Ultra needs this chase to be fast so that he can get a Pain Resonance onto Dan and get the secure a 4K2 win condition. But that main building generator is really close to being done. So if Dan can last for any reasonable amount of time here, Spitz is going to finish the main building gen.
Yeah, we are going to be seeing, trying to make some distance there, but getting hicked up with all of these chains right now. Those are the add-ons really shining through, just holding Dan in place for a lot longer. Yeah, Ultra seems to have just vanished. I think tried to maybe get a bit greedy, pressure out this main building as well. Survivor's able to sneak another gen underneath the killer's nose is interesting right there. So fair play coming out from the Survivor side right now. But Dan right now is in the corner, has a single pallet to be working with, and is chained up. There was no way that Dan could do a whole lot in that chase right now. Interesting that the immediate hook is going to be coming through right here, not going to be finding Spitz to just, you know, secure this decisively. So there's the slim potential for Hatch right now, but I do mean slim.
Yeah, and I think Spitz there was 99ing the main building generator just to make Ultra think that he might have had a chance to interrupt it. But in the end, Dan would have needed to get 2-tapped there for Ultra to get the Pain Resonance on that gen. They just had too much. I mean, even though Eternal had a really bad start in this game, losing Zaka at 4 gens, they did have a lot of progress spread on a lot of different generators. That main building generator was progressed to like 70% while Zaka was still on his first hook, and they just kind of left it there for later.
Yeah, it's something that they're going to be considering right now. As Ultra just, you know, is scouring the entire map to be finding Spitz right now. Oftentimes you do see the second to last survivor being slugged, just so that the just to play it safe, right? Make sure that there is no possibility of the hatch. But finding the box is going to be a pretty good idea, but Spitz, having a bit too much wherewithal for that, was hiding in the locker anyway. And now it's a bit of a waiting game. The unhook isn't going to be coming through right now, but the chain hunt is going to be coming through, and this is it's a cue for Spitz to get right back in that locker. You know the bell curve of like intelligence of DBD players, and on the lower end it's like, I'm gonna hide in lockers, and then most people like, no, lockers are bad, and then the higher end is, yeah, I'm just gonna hide in a locker all game anyway.
Yeah, but the chain hunt actually doesn't do anything when there's only one survivor standing, so there aren't going to be any chains attacking Spitz there. So Ultra now closing the hatch, and these doors are interesting. Spitz is immediately going for the door that's closest to the hatch.
Yeah,
if Ultra doesn't sniff this out, he could be out. Okay, Terror Radius here.
Yeah, could always try and interrupt this with a chain from a distance as well. Not going to be necessary.
Okay,
Trying to open this one up, run it through. Yeah, Spitz, I mean, it was a nice attempt there, but ultimately 4 generators is what Eternal did manage to get. It is what they are going to be working with. It's on, again, it's what we were saying before. We have no doubt in Cynic's killer play. Ultra is a phenomenal killer player, but their survivor play can sometimes leave a little bit to be desired. So 4 gens is quite winnable for them. They know what they need to do, complete every generator. But when you are going up against Zaka, likely going to be playing the Cenobite, then it's a lot easier said than done, right?
Yeah, before we go to a break here, I want to mention how smart that play was from Spitz. Usually in a door standoff situation, you have one door that's far from the hatch and one door that's close. And usually the killer will go directly to the far door because he'll assume that the survivor wants to be as far away from the killer as possible to get as much progress on the door as possible. But Spitz was hiding near the close door because he guessed that Ultra wouldn't check it and would instead check the main building door instead. And it almost got him out. So that was a really smart play from Spitz. We are going to be going to a quick break here while we flip the sides. It's going to be Eternal on the Cenobite next with Cynic's Survivors. So don't go anywhere. Really exciting set. We'll have to see how it turns out. Welcome back, everybody, to the Dead Dog Saloon. And this time we have restarted the match. All of the survivors are in the game. Nobody has crashed, and Zaka has found the box. All of Cynic's survivors going to be highlighted up there, and it's going to mean that he can get his first chase started very fast. Ultra is going to be hit with the chain. He's in chase here, has a 4-lane pallet, is going to get the stun. This 4-lane Edgar is actually stronger than it is on some other maps on the Dead Dog Saloon variant. So Zaka is actually just going to break that pallet and leave, as Angels has picked up the box in the distance.
Yeah, I mean, that's a resource that's out here if you are on the killer side, which you are going to be dealing with. Box being done way over in the corner of the map. Zaka knows that they aren't going to be able to interrupt it, so is going to go for the teleport instead. I'm going to be seeing whether you can catch up Angels here. Missing that first chain, not great, but it does force Angels into a bit of a strange position. Is going to make this pallet, however, and Zaka kind of mind-gaming himself right there on that one, meaning that Angels has time to make it over to another one. Unfortunately, has ran into one of the gens that was being worked on, so not quite as efficient. And now we see whether these chase perks are going to get the value that you so desire. Having that speed boost and that window blocking ability, especially important as you get over to this shack right now, which we're going to see how well that gets played as Nini comes in here with the jump scare and the blind as well. Going to be putting residual manifest on top of that for the time being. Zaka right now is still searching, crambling, clawing for this first down, but not going to be able to do it, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Nini jump scare there was honestly pretty funny, but it served a serious strategical purpose there for Cynic, as he was able to apply the residual manifest and gets hit through the pallet there. Nice hit there from Zaka. Nini is going to run towards the shack, and Zaka is actually going to choose to go after these two survivors that are on the generator. Ultra also going to take a hit. Cynic has given up 2 free hits now, as 1 generator going to be done in the distance. Ultra is going to be chained up there, put into the deep wounds by the original pain, and I'm not sure if he makes anything else here. He has a window, but he's not going to make that just yet. Nini doing the box in the distance. Ultra, though, is going to be the first down.
Yeah, and if you want to break it down as much as you really can, then Dead by Daylight is a bit about resources and managing those resources. The pallet in that 4-lane was used early on in Chase by Angels, meaning it was not available there for Ultra. First down is going to be coming through with 1 generator completed right now, which is about on track right now. Remember that if these survivors can get all 5 generators done, then Zaka does win this. If not, then it's going to be... If not, then you're looking at maybe 4K2 for a win. 4K1 would be a draw, considering that all 12 hook stages were obtained by Ultra playing that before. But now you're in a pretty decent position right now. Unfortunately, you aren't able to defend tons of generators from where you are, right? Because the 1 generator that got completed was very close to this hook. So you can try and maybe toss the chain up to the saloon to guard that one. But honestly, you don't have great pressure here if you're Zaka. You're just going to be trying to camp Ultra to death, continue to harass these gens from a distance, and that's just the game plan. That's what we know, that's what we love.
Yeah, this is pretty much the same thing that Ultra was doing when Zaka was on the hook in the last game. Cynic is going to be looking to get as much gen progress as they can in exchange for Ultra going second stage. If they're able to do at least 2 gens here before they unhook Ultra. Now, I'm assuming they will unhook Ultra, because the survivors of Eternal last game opted not to unhook Zaka. I think what happens there is going to be critical for the result here, as Zaka is content to just sit around and shoot chains at the main building. 1 generator is done in the gallows area, 2 generators done in the gallows area. So good progress for Cynic now. Now, what are they going to do about Ultra on the hook here as Nini picks up the box?
I mean, surely they have to do something, right? An exchange here would be pretty good for you. Even if it does just result in Ultra being thrown out the game, that is still some time that has been bought for you. Would be really interesting to see whether they just let Ultra die here. As the only progress on the only progress on the generator seems to be the Saloon gen, which is going to be progressed pretty nicely right now. And yeah, Ultra's just going to be dying. So these teams don't seem too willing to protect their survivors or kind of go for an exchange or a trade or anything like that. Zark's going to be pressuring out the Saloon right now, trying to move as fast as he can on the Pinhead. You would have been... This gen really needs to get completed if you're Survivor side. If it's not, you have a pretty nasty 3-gen with the Saloon and the 2 other corner generators. If that one is able to get completed, however, then you have the Gallows gen instead, and suddenly your 3-gen does not look so strong if you're Zaka.
Yeah, and this main building generator has so much progress on it that Zaka is basically required to stay near it if he wants to defend it. The regression was not taken off of it there by, I believe that's Lusty at the back of the main building. Zaka, I mean, he's actually going to break this bottom door. That's so interesting. You almost never see killers actually break that door because it sort of opens up an infinite if the windows are in the correct spots.
Well, we'll have to see whether the windows are in the correct spots then, as Angels is going to be pressuring out this generator as well, drawing a lot of attention away from the main building generator. Lusty able to get through that window there and is just going to be able to keep running this one through. Strong window here. This is all just what we know. Teams are very well drilled on how to run. This. And yeah, opening that bottom window has now just allowed access to this window as well. It is going to be played pretty decently by Zaka. Gets a solid vault through with Bamboozle, but the chain misses. This actually buys Lusty time to run over here. That's going to be Gallows generator completed as well, and Zaka now realizing that you have to be focusing on these gens instead. But the problem that you have now is that, yeah, you have a 3-gen, but the gen in the very far corner of the map has been progressed this entire time by Angels, and the gen on main building is just going to be bullied out by Lusty.
Yeah, so in the end, actually staying near that main building generator was a really good play for Cynic because they were able to just have survivors on the gens all across the map. Zaka felt like he needed to be defending on that main building generator with his life because it had so much progress, but Cynic just did other generators instead. This is probably going to be a Pain Resonance onto Angels. Yep, Pain Res is going to hit the main building gen. So not just yet is Cynic going to be taking this win, as Nini now taking chase at Shack. Zaka is definitely not going to commit to that, though, as he knows that the main building generator is being done. Definitely going to be a fast unhook onto Angels here over by the Gallows area, as Zaka is coming to kick the main building generator. No, he's actually not going to kick it. He needs a fast down onto Lusty here if he wants to stay in this game.
Yeah, and missing that chain is not what you need right now if you're Zaka. That allows Lusty to make so much distance, and now you're in an untenable position. Do you want to continue to try and pressure this survivor, or instead just get back on the gen? This gen, I mean, it did got hit with the Pain Resonance. Now he's going to be hit with a kick as well, but only about, realistically, it's only going to be like 5% away, maybe 10% from being completed anyway. It is so close yet so far, and all the survivors right now just chilling in the main building. They want this gen. They want it so badly. Nini is going to be injured, but running away because you know you have that time, you have that space, and it's actually going to be the corner generator that gets completed instead. This is the issue. You split the attention for far too long. You have the main building gen in your sights, but unfortunately, it doesn't do a damn thing. And very, very strong play from the Cynic survivors right now. Going to be taking the first set here against Eternal. The upset potential is potentially real.
Yeah, and Cynic here, they were the ones that picked the Cenobite, so their survivors really did come through. That's what we said in the campfire chat, that the survivors need to match Ultra's numbers that he's putting up, and they really did here. They had great gen pressure. They were able to get so much done in exchange for Ultra dying on the hook. Angels is going to die in the end, but it does not matter because Cynic was able to finish 5 generators, and they're going to be feeling good going into that Spirit set, even though Spirit is not their pick.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Spirit, mentioning before, it's going to be such a tough matchup. Cynic not really a Spirit team, and Eternal very much so, right? So it's a bit of a mismatch, but I mean, on paper, this first one was a mismatch as well. didn't seem to matter. Anyway, we're going to be sending it over to a quick break before getting into our Spirit matchup. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly. Hello, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Zaka opening it up here on the Spirit, a devastating player in their own right, on an S-tier killer with a pretty good-looking build as well. This is kind of the standard. Gen kicking perks work quite well on the Spirit. Your ability to get 2 generators is definitely up there in the game, so it is going to be the favored form of regression right now. And the 50-50 one out there by Zaka. And this is the issue with Spirit, just the ability to turn every single loop into what is ultimately a 50-50 for survivors. And unfortunately, Nini losing that first one, Sloppy Butcher is going to be activated, so it's going to be slightly easier to be tracking that survivor as well. And things just getting really rough here for Nini. He's going to have his power to work with, but actually, Zaka just gets the hit right through it. The nerves of steel on this man are just ridiculous.
Yeah, and it looks like Cynic was trying to go for some sort of save play there, as Nini was near the pallet, and the survivor with the flashlight was also nearby. But it's not going to work out for them, and Zaka is going to get a very early down on this Spirit in the basement. This is not looking good for Cynic. I mean, this is one of Zaka's best killers in his killer pool. So Cynic is staring down the barrel of an extremely strong killer and an extremely strong player on that killer right now, as Zaka now is free to leave the basement and go and apply Eruption to all of these gens. People at home might be thinking that, oh, this is not enough regression. It is for Zaka. That's just how strong he is on the Spirit.
Yeah, and it's also about the other perks as well. I mean, Sloppy Butcher there, you're not really committing hard to Ultra right now. You're just going to be trading back and forth and then leaving to the basement. But Sloppy Butcher is going to add, I believe it's, 4 seconds to each heal that it gets afflicted on every survivor, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it definitely adds up. And now you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, as the survivor side. You tried to let Nini hang for a reasonable amount of time, but just going to be body blocked on the way out of the basement. This is so brutal. There's no pallet. There is nothing Nini could have done about that. And also getting the eruption pop onto that generator as well. I mean, a rogue flashlight save attempt going to be coming in, but Angel's not in the right position to be accomplishing that one either. And this is just so bad for Cynic right now, and it's not even really their fault. It's just been commandeering such a strong start for Zaka here.
Yeah, and you know what? When I think about killers that body block the basement stairs to wait out the endurance, I would have to say Zaka is probably the best we have at it in this league. I don't think I've ever seen him miss a body block there. Like okay, what a hit there on Angels. I mean, Zaka is just abusing these survivors from Cynic right now. He's getting so many free hits in the phase while Nini is on hook. He was able to fake out Ultra at the broken truck earlier. Now he gets the quick hit onto Angels, and he's going after Angels in the phase. Angels, though, smartly running all the way off into the corner of the map, and Zaka actually not going to down Angels, even though he had no resources in that corner.
Just kind of recognizing I just playing it a little safe, right? Knowing that you could down Angels, but you really want to keep Nini in the basement. But it actually works in favor of the survivors in this specific instance, because they kind of realized that Nini was unsavable right now. Not going to be having an issue there. Instead, Zaka's going to be choosing to apply Eruption to all these generators, and knowing the lethality of this guy, it seems pretty likely that, that regression is going to be coming through any second now. It only takes 1 down, and Zaka proficient on that right now. Survivors doing a decently good job of hiding, and they were able to reset, but the scratch marks were spotted for a brief second, and a brief second is all that the Spirit needs to track you down. Notices Angels walking there with the sprint burst, and tries to actually briefly go for the other survivor instead, but finally going to be catching up to Angels, using the power to make that distance. Have you got anything to work with, Angels? Not exactly. Going to be tanking that hit, running it right back to the shack. There's no pallet here, remember. So Angel's not going to be able to play it. He's just going to have to run. Try and find resources in the map, but what are you meant to do against this guy? What are you meant to do?
Maybe a pallet save?
Here, and it does work out, and the smash hit as well. Lusty does get injured up for it, though. Going to be seeing whether that smash hit actually gave sufficient distance to Lusty. Maybe because Zaka doesn't seem to give a damn about Lusty. Cares about Angels instead. And that's another hit coming through. That pallet save to so many killers is a big problem. To Zaka, just a roadblock.
In the end, that pallet save might actually come back to hurt Cynic, because Lusty took a hit with Sloppy Butcher for it. and then Angels just went right back down afterwards. Like, I mean, when you get injured against Zaka's Spirit, you are just dead. Like, we saw the flashlight click from Angels there, because I know how frustrating it can be as a survivor when a Spirit does short safe phases, like Zaka did there. But reset is going to come in onto Lusty across the map, so credit to Cynic there. They are actually playing slow and prioritizing their resets. They're not working generators injured. But
Yeah.
Angels is on the hook all the way across the map, and none of the survivors of Cynic are even close to being able to get that unhook right now. 3 generators are still remaining, and if you're Cynic, I think you need to give up on getting any stages out the door at this point.
There is absolutely no way that you complete all 5 generators here, as simple as that. This is going to be a 12-stage game, barring some kind of miracle hatch play. Zaka simply had too much pressure far too early. Going to be getting Angels to stage 2 as well. And then likely after stage 2 is going to go back to these generators, because a 4K2 could be likely. This far generator is being pressured out by Ultra this entire time. But if you're Zaka, why settle for that? There's a very real possibility that Zaka is able to get the 4K at 3 generators, which would be a damn near impossible win condition for Cynic to have to overcome right now. It is all about, can you chase down Ultra pretty damn quickly, it seems. Going to be running it all the way over there. Zaka playing it safe and, yeah, realizing I want to protect these generators. So I'm going to be going right over to this one, applying my eruption to it. A regression limit is beginning to kick in, maybe a couple more times that it can be going back right now. And Ultra does have a medkit with just enough charges to be healing up, so not going to demand the full team to come over to help reset, but it's still going to be an issue in terms of time management, having to spend that time self-healing instead of working on gens. And also, Zaka could just be tracking you down the entire way. It's like a damn bloodhound right now.
Yeah, and that was regression event number 5 on that broken truck generator. So the next down with the eruption will be 6, as Ultra is going to get found before he can heal with the medkit. That is so unfortunate for Cynic. The Sloppy Butcher regressing his heal all the way to 0, and he takes the down as well. Going to be another fresh hook for Zaka. That is a huge mistake for Cynic. You can't have your guy with the medkit like lose the heal and the charges on the medkit.
Because now you just can't fully heal with it, right? Before you could at least use it for the full heal in the corner of the map, but because Zaka has brought Sloppy Butcher along, you can't even, partially heal yourself and then have someone else finish it off for you. It's just not going to be an option. So a huge loss there of resources for Cynic. And now Ultra's been taken off the hook. Angels maybe... It's interesting to see if Angels is going to heal up Ultra and play safe here, or is just going to kind of realize, you know what, we ball and try and bully out a generator in this time, because that's all you can really do. Try and bully out a gen, complete one more here. It's the only option that you really have on the Survivor side. Doing more than one gen right now is just absolutely impossible.
Yep, and chase now onto the healthy Angels. No, Zaka actually making a very smart play and going to find the reset or these injured survivors. And this is actually going to be regression event number 7 onto the generator. The next down with the eruption here is going to come in onto Ultra, because I know Zaka's not going to miss this phase. Oh, but he actually does.
Okay.
I cursed him. But Ultra would have hit a dead hard on it anyways. If Ultra goes down here, that's going to be number 8 on that generator. It can no longer be kicked.
That is true. It is going to continue regressing for a hot minute, though, because Angels was healing up Lusty. Ultra going to be going over to that second hook as well. Lusty actually just pressuring this kind of edge map generator instead. Going to be seeing whether that's able to really last for quite a long time, especially seeing how nearby it is to that hook. Zaka is going to be looking around for that one, using the phase just a little bit right now. And Zaka right now is just about, again, like a 4K2 you would be very happy with, but you can realistically get a 4K3 right here. Finally some revenge. Lusty's been getting some immense smash hit value this game, dunking that one right onto an invisible Zaka. Gonna be, just bullying Zaka out there. I just love the comedy of this. I love the bit that Angels is just ignoring bro on the hook.
I like this play from Cynic. He's actually going to unhook him. But, I mean, in a situation like this where you're staring down the barrel of a 4K3, I mean, you need to be getting all of the generator progress you can get. And as we see here, Zaka tried to kick the generator, and he can't because the spikes have progressed all the way to the maximum.
Yeah, Sprint Burst from Angels as well. It doesn't seem like this gen is all that defendable now if you're Zaka. So definitely fair play on the survivors for pressuring that one out. Actually, very strong heads-up play from Angels right there. As funny as it was to be watching Angels just prioritize doing a generator instead of, you know, saving their friend's life, it was a good play overall. You do need the progression. And Zaka right now is searching around for Lusty. He does eventually manage to find him. Lusty was stealthing for quite a long while, and the regression event, again, slowly beginning to kick in on this generator as well. Now, if a down comes through now onto Ultra or Lusty, that is going to regress that one up, which is going to be very nice, as you have to try and win this one here, and you read that they're running to the window. What can you realistically do if you're a survivor right there? Nothing? Pray?
It is so hard. I mean, you ask any comp survivor and they'll tell you that Spirit is one of the hardest chases in all of comp DBD, especially when the killer is as precise as Zaka is. I mean, you could try to stop moving, but then the Spirit will just do a short safe phase. You could try to avoid the grass, but then the killer will see that the grass isn't moving and know that you're standing still, not in the grass. It's so hard, especially when you're playing against Zaka, who, I mean, the Spirit is by far one of his best killers. Not to say that his other killers aren't good. I mean, Zaka is one of the best killer players in the world, and he plays so many different killers at that. Bolt coming in there from Ultra, and he's going to take a hit there. And he's going to the Shack, but the Shack doesn't have a pallet. Cynic is going to be looking to complete one more generator. FaZe coming in now at the filler pallet, and he gets Ultra on the pallet. I mean, there's just nothing to say here. Zaka is just so clean on the Spirit.
What? Like, okay, when you get close, okay, you can hear the injured survivor, sure, but the read to know that this was the exact direction that Ultra will be going into as well. All these survivors are injured, so, you know, the if you wanted to go for a pallet save there, it wouldn't be safe at all. Ultra's dead on hook, Angels is dead on hook, Lusty's injured up, not going to be long for this world either. Really strong performance here. Again, you could be thinking of the what could have been, getting with the 4K3, but 4K2, really strong performance here for Zaka right now. For survivors, this is about damage control as much as possible. Lusty and Angels kind of need to heal each other up if they want anyone to get out here. Lusty could try and pressure out the generator over there, but it's not going to be working. Zaka just comes back, kicks it, applies the eruption again. The only realistic play here might seem to be Lusty and Angels. They heal up, they reset, and then they hide. Someone goes down and make a hatch play. But that is such a reach. It's such a reach.
Yeah, at this point, we are pretty sure that another generator is not going to be getting done from Cynic, as Angel's in the corner with the sprint burst, and he actually almost blinded Zaka there. The flashlight beam started to compress there, but Zaka looks down, starts the phase, and I mean, he's just gonna call out exactly what Angel's trying to do. And another perfect phase from Zaka. Yep, and the aura coming in from the eruption. He's now going to phase directly onto Lusty's head. Not quite gonna get that because Lusty just had a little bit more distance than he thought.
Bounce landing and smash hit. Okay.
Oh yeah,
interesting combination coming through, but it works.
Yeah, interesting double exhaustion build there from Lusty, and I mean, it did do some work in this game, as one more phase coming in from Zaka, and he did not miss a single prediction this game. He missed a single phase in this game where he was actually close to the survivor, and that was the one that Ultra would have dead harded anyways.
Yeah, I mean, really strong play here coming out. Angels on the floor as well. 4K2, such a strong position for Eternal to be in. It seems increasingly more likely that we're going to be over to the Unknown set, you know. There is possible tie potential, if you want to stretch that far. Do recall that Ultra, a very strong killer in their own right, and Spirit is an S-tier killer at the end of the day. It's not uncommon to be seeing 4K2 results, but against a survivor team as well drilled, as well practiced as the Eternal Survivors, they likely know what they're doing, right? I don't think they're going to be struggling. We're going to be coming back after a very short break, see if a miracle run is going to be coming out here from Cynic, or whether Eternal are going to take us to that tiebreaker on the Unknown. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be back very shortly.
We are back on the Wrecker's Yard, everybody, and now we have Ultra on the Spirit against the survivors of Eternal with a very tough win condition to meet here, Egder. He needs to get a 4K3 if Cynic is going to want to win this set and avoid the tiebreaker.
Yeah, it's going to be short phasing onto Zaka nice and early, so that is a hit coming through almost instantly. Good start if you're Ultra right now, but you have to convert this into something huge. Going for that short phase actually quite interesting because it does allow Zaka the time to make it all the way over, drop the Shack Pallet, then leave. Key resource is out if you're Ultra, but maybe that's just a little bit of cope coming through because ultimately that's... Okay then, well, okay, Ada jump scare, I guess. Spit's just going to be dunking that pallet on Ultra's head. Firecracker not going to be doing a whole lot in terms of avoiding the movement, but it does actually kind of disorient Ultra just a little bit, forcing him to look away, potentially allowing Spit's access all the way over here, and the prediction not coming out there, and already you're behind on time right now, right? That first early hit onto Zaka, maybe that's putting you in good time, but unfortunately, right now, things are just far too slow for you. And also, whiffing this one as well, I mean, Ultra... This isn't necessarily a terrible start. Unfortunately, you just have such a brutal win con to deal with that you are already lagging behind. You need perfection right now, and Ultra does not have it. And now you cycle Zaka back in, who has a sprint burst as well. It seems like Fabian tactics being employed by the Eternal Survivors right now to great effect.
Yep, and Zaka there, he took the early injury, but he was healed so fast that it ended up not mattering at all because of how he dropped the Shack Pallet, and now he's made it back to this jungle gym, playing it very well. Ultra, he's going to go for another phase. Short phase here, but Zaka makes it back to the pallet. Great chase from Zaka, and a gen is going to pop in the distance. I mean, Ultra needs to find something fast here if he wants to stay in this game. And he is going to get a hit onto Zaka, but so far, the dodges from the survivors of Eternal on these phases have been so on point. Spitz and Zaka have avoided going down thus far, but Zaka guesses the wrong side of the pallet, and that is going to be the first down for Ultra. However, survivors of Eternal are doubling the Shack generator here.
Yeah, it's going to be doubled up right here, coming all the way through. Gen on the top side is going to be completed. Only one more gen needs to be done here for the Eternal side to get that tie condition in. The hit was taken for Nightlight, and it actually allows Zaka to get off of the shoulder as well. I mean, taking hits is always going to be a bit dangerous on the Survivor side, but when it allows you to continue to bully out these gens more, just delay the down onto Zaka further and further. Also catch Ultra here at this loop without power. And remember that if the Spirit's not using power, they're only a 110 killer. So it's going to be really tough to actually win any of these loops when you've used your entire power just like that. And you're scrambling right now if you're Ultra. You're looking for answers, but you just can't find them. Reset also coming through onto Nightlight as well. This is just a really bad time for Cynic right now. I think it's all but guaranteed we're going to see the Unknown.
We're already at the point where only one more generator needs to be done for Eternal to tie the game, as Ultra still has yet to find a single hook. He wanted to do the agitation into basement play earlier, the same thing that Zaka did to him in the last game, and it's going to be Eternal here doubling out this Shack generator, securing the tie condition, and the winning generator is currently at about 40% as Ultra is just now getting his first hook.
Yeah, I mean, your first hook simply cannot come in at 3 gens, even if you aren't talking about having such a harsh win condition to overcome. I mean, your first hook at 2 gens, especially on a killer such as Spirit, it's just not ideal, right? And part of this is on Ultra on the killer side. We did see some predictions that went astray, but also huge credit has to be given to the survivors for just kind of cycling in and out, playing these 1v1s incredibly well, playing as a team incredibly well. You know, all of a sudden, after someone goes off and runs away with balanced landing, Zaka's back in to run away with a sprint burst, and Ultra just cannot lock anyone down whatsoever Dan is going to be unhooked on the other side of the map, but healed up very quickly. Likely a will make it play that does come through, meaning that your attempt to tunnel out Zaka is going to be just all but cosmetic right now. And if you're Ultra, you have no answers. You have nothing that you can realistically do here. It's kind of a foregone conclusion at this point in time.
Yeah, and that was a good call out there onto Dan. He was able to predict Dan's pathing there, but I'm pretty sure that was an overcome from Dan. It's just going to allow him to get all the way into these. Okay, so Dan actually vaulting directly into Ultra for some reason there.
Happens to the best of us. It doesn't matter.
The final 2 generators are already done,
Decisive?
and Dan has DS. Yep, that was overcome. And Dan with the DS now going to go all the way into the corner as the final generator is done. Even though that is the 5th generator, the final generator for Eternal was going to be the 4th one there, as they needed to get a 4K1 to win the set. So Eternal decisively winning the Spirit set, which was their pick in the draft. We are going to see the Unknown here. And if there is any killer that Cynic is going to be looking to upset one of the top of the table teams with, it is the Unknown, Egdar.
I mean, yeah, the Spirit set just wasn't particularly close in the slightest, but the Unknown, that's an entirely different story. Still a bit of an unknown quantity, pun definitely not intended, for some of these teams right now. Relatively newer killer, but, I mean, Ultra is quite proficient. Have been seeing it in the past come out. It's quite interesting to see how it gets played. The strength level is still something that's being relatively figured out, but 4Ks are definitely not out of the question on the Unknown. Turns out that a pretty good chase power alongside just the sheer map pressure that the hallucinations can cause just by putting them in advantageous positions, they can sync up very well and put some very strong performances. Also, Unknown's just an exciting watch, you know. Cross-map bounces are always nice to see. Hallucination teleports that loops into a hit or a down are always beautiful. Also, he's a very handsome fella as well, which helps too. We're going to be back after a very short break, and then we're going to be seeing the Unknown coming out. Don't go anywhere, we're going to be back shortly. What is that? It's the Unknown coming out from Ultra here. Going to be trying to make some magic happen right over here. Already finding our first survivor nice and early. Going to be running our Ada into the corner map. Also able to pressure out another survivor as well. So, I mean, you'll take the extra bullying while you can, right? The ability to pressure out multiple survivors, always going to be so useful, so handy. Trying to get the weaken through onto Spitz is finally going to be doing that, meaning that Spitz really does have to watch their back. Going to this high ground, so is going to have a balanced landing to work with, but you still have the potential of the range shot to deal with. Dodged out nice and good, and the weakened also going to be leaving Spitz as well. Early drop coming through there. Very strong first chase right now for Spitz, but is being slowly pushed into the corner of the map, but actually able to escape and actually flip sides here. So fair play. Now Spitz is going to have a lot more to work with. If you're Ultra, you cannot really let the survivor just flip the map like that. You need to continue to zone them out into the corner and whittle them down of resources.
Yeah, and this is a really good first chase coming out for Eternal. The first gen is already done. That had to have been doubled. As Ultra, he has yet to get an injury on this Unknown, and we know how important the first chase is against the Unknown if you can dodge out those shots. Zaka is going to take an M1. One totem is already gone for Ultra, as chase now continuing onto Zaka at this filler pallet. Another totem is going to be done in the distance. Zaka is going to eat the weakened there. Pre-drops the pallet. He's removing the weakened. Hallucination comes out from Ultra. Here comes the shot. Ultra looks up to dodge the firecracker, and Zaka is just going to get zoned edge map here. He is going to go down eventually. Not taking the UVX blast is kind of a powerful statement from Zaka there, but Ultra is finally going to get his first hook, and actually all of his totems are gone. Eternal has found every totem, and it's only going to be Pentimento now here for Ultra. He's going to need to be really deliberate about how he rekindles these totems. And he actually got the one at Shaq there, and they get the unhook onto Zaka, but a double weakened comes out from Ultra. Opportunity for a huge shot here.
Yeah, I mean, Zaka is still weakened up. Remember that it is LOS that breaks the killer power, and there is a brief window of opportunity here, and it gets through the rock. What a shot that comes through. Ultra phenomenal work there. The Pentimento is going to be gone, so your regression that you were initially getting, not going to be worth a whole lot, but going to be dragging Zaka, kicking and screaming back into the map right now. I mean, what a shot there. Christ.
I just need to highlight how difficult of a shot that is to hit on the Unknown. You cannot go over the rock there. You have to skip it off the top with the bounce of the projectile, and Ultra hits it perfectly right there. And another injury onto Dan. He hits the UVX blast on the top of the loop, and Dan is caught in the blast zone. He is gonna miss the follow-up shot, but Dan now at this filler pallet goes for the vault. Ultra is going to get the M1. Zaka is unhooked in the distance. He's going to slug Dan and teleport back, but a For the People comes in onto Zaka.
Yeah, 4 people is going to be coming in. This is going to at least delay the tunnel out a little bit more, and you're in an odd position here if you're Ultra. Getting Zaka out the game is the priority, but you do also have an injured Nightlight in front of you as well, but are just going to be sticking to the game plan, committing fully to Zaka. Doesn't actually get the weakened off, so had an opportunity to drop the pallet, but not doing it there. Such a weird killer to... It sounds odd. Of course, the red stain is going to be important and crucial anyway, but it's so odd just to try and visualize the Unknown at any given time because of how wonky and strange looking the model is, right? Is going to be getting that hit through, and Zaka's not actually been able to get through it. Like,
Ultra, I mean, just so good at the Unknown. Zaka, I mean, usually when survivors are running the Unknown, they like to run back into him to dodge the shots, but Ultra simply bounces it off the side of the loop to make sure Zaka couldn't do that, and he is dead. That chase was so important, Egdar. Zaka is now dead with 3 generators remaining. He could not last long on his final chase, and now Ultra has all the pressure here.
Yeah, so much pressure right now. I mean, Jesus Christ. Also going to be getting the weaken through onto Dan as well. Nightlight injured up over onside the map. Spitz has been relatively free so far. He's actually going to be the dodge there, forcing the M1, which is slightly better for you as a survivor, but only slightly, right? And also Ultra pre-aiming that shot around the corner, almost gets the hit through as well there. I mean, Dude is playing Unknown like a Huntress. It's that level of lethality that we're looking at, right? And it's absolutely crazy. And also the hallucination dropped at this loop as well, going to be zoning Nightlight all the way away from it. Fortunately, is making some good distance, but does get hit with that weakened as well. Also hindered up slightly by virtue of being hit with the direct shot too. And there's nothing to work with here if you're Nightlight. So going to be getting hit up there.
Two-tap on the Nightlight.
And it denies the life as well.
Ultra is just on fire right now. He's able to he's able to get rid of the dodges from Nightlight by bouncing his UVX off the wall, and Nightlight just caught out of position, can't make the window because the cooldown on that UVX shot is so low, it just goes straight into the basic attack. Ultra is putting on a clinic here. You can see why he is the biggest Unknown player in Season 9.
Yeah, just putting in so much work right now. So much work is going to be coming through. Now you have the hook onto Nightlight on the other side of the map as well, and you're feeling pretty good about this, especially because your hallucinations are in pretty nice splits. Aside from the gen on the very far corner of the map, you essentially have reach over every single generator. Dan trying to be incredibly stealthy right now, but it doesn't seem to have worked out. You get spotted out anyway, and is there a more terrifying sight than Ultra on the Unknown as well, running all the way through onto you? Is going to be leaving. Pentimento is up, and the hook is actually by the new Pentimento as well, so it's going to be very defensible for Ultra. Spitz is going to be able to complete gen on the other side of the map. 3 generators going into the survivor's favor right now, but whether they can get another one done, that's really up in the air right now. Dan cannot safely go for this unhook. Spitz is having to rotate all the way from the other side of the map, and now there are just... And now the pressure is just overwhelming here on the survivors.
Yeah, and like you said, Dan can't go for this unhook. Spitz is going to be the only one that can actually go for this, and Ultra's holding it so close because he knows that he has the Pentimento totem up, so he has time to sit here. So Spitz actually going to be coming in now. Nightlight, there's a lot of time. There is actually quite a bit of time left on his bar, so this is probably going to be a 1-for-1 from Spitz. Yeah, the 1-for-1 is going to come in. Spitz goes down under the hook. And Ultra is going to be slugging Spitz and going for Nightlight here, who has the second wind. It's halfway charged. Teleport comes in from Ultra. He needs to get a hit really fast here, or Nightlight will be healed.
Yeah, needs to be trying to get it soon. Nightlight trying to play this pallet, and yes, there it is. The timing that you need. Second win getting some immense value here from Nightlight. That was dangerously close to hitting. Ultra knows the angles, knows how to get these hits through so well. Nightlight going through a little bit of a corner tech there, not unfortunately working. The Unknown a little too sharp for that one. Try and zone away from that window. You do get hit with the weakened, at least you're not down yet, but you only have this pallet to work with, dunking it beautifully there. And the entire time, you have to be focusing on trying to stare down the killer as well. And when you do that, you aren't able to look around the map either.
Now, Dan is the only survivor standing.
Yeah, not able to actually get that, not able to get the pickup through, and almost like a damn laser beam. Just somehow, Ultra knows exactly where Dan is at any given time, and now putting him in the very corner of the map. A not so fun bus here for Dan. Drop pallet is here, but is going to be broken through now. You can potentially get a pickup here if you're Dan, but is it going to be worth a whole lot? No, it isn't. This is just a foregone conclusion at this point. It is going to be with a little bit of a jump scare at the end. 4K2 coming through there.
And Ultra on the Unknown, his signature pick for Season 9. He is putting Cynic within reach of upsetting Eternal today. 4K2 on the Wrecker's Yard. But this game is not over yet, Egdar. One thing that I wanted to mention before is that this is going to be one of the first times that Cynic plays an Unknown game against a team that is not scared to play Unknown. I'm not sure if it's either Nightlight or Zaka playing the Unknown, but I know that Eternal has a proficient Unknown player, and this is still going to be quite a challenge for Cynic's survivors. They need to bring it home on the survivor side if they want this win.
And this is the test that we were talking about, right? They proved very capable of it. When they were playing Survivor in the Cenobite matchup, that they are capable of strong Survivor play when they bash their heads together. But that has historically been a bit of a weakness for the Cynic side, you know? And it's a hell of a challenge to have to deal with. It's like picking the worst of a bad bunch, you know? Like playing versus Nightlight Killer or Zaka Killer. Neither of them are particularly fun options to be dealing with. So it's going to be a bad day at the office for Cynic regardless right now, as Ultra just going to be celebrating the victory, doing a little bit of a dance, a little bit of a parade through the yard right now. And strong play, but you need to keep this up. You need to sustain this, especially because of the pressure that you must be feeling, right? You have the best team in the league staring down the barrel right now. You cannot choke this, you know? You cannot let this go. You need to focus up. You need to try and lock in, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and if there's any killer that the survivors of Cynic can lock in against, it's got to be this Unknown, since they practice against Ultra all the time. So don't go anywhere, guys. We will be right back with the conclusion of this exciting set. Can Cynic pull off the upset? Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Wrecker's Yard, everybody, where Cynic's survivors are on the brink of pulling off an incredible upset today. They just need to bring it home in this survivor set and pop 4 generators against Nightlight's Unknown. Easier said than done, as Nightlight really loves this killer just like Ultra does, and Angel's gonna get found first and immediately weakened. Good shot, good start from Nightlight.
Yeah, very early we can cut through as you get to the shack now, and now you have to think, okay, well, how am I going to play this shot? Instead, gets the nice bounce through onto the pallet, but Nightlight does actually get stunned up here, which is going to buy a little bit of extra time, a little bit of extra distance for Angels to try and run back into Corrupt Land, exactly where you want to be playing as a survivor, but Nightlight has the wherewithal for that. He's going to send the chase in the opposite direction, so it's small things like that, but it's good fundamentals that's coming out from these killer players right here. Going to be chasing Angels into the map right now.
Nice
Ends up dodging the
Angels.
weakened. Yeah, very nice dodge. Just buying second after second for the Cynic survivors right now to get it all the way through. And a weakened just about going to be clipping Angels. I don't know, pinky toe there, I guess. Whatever works for you, big lad. Whatever works for you.
Yep, Angel's gonna have to dodge another shot here, but he gets M1'd instead. First down here for Nightlight. This is a good start for Eternal, as he is going to get the pickup. And it looks like Lusty possibly rotating for a save here, as Ultra is working a generator in the distance. That's going to probably be Cynic's first one. They've got 2 generators with pretty good progress here. And yeah, Nightlight,
Quick
suspicious
unhook.
that somebody is around. Very quick unhook there from Lusty, as he was hiding off of the generator when Angels was hooked. Chase immediately starting again onto Angels here. He's running at a 4-lane here, not really where you want to be, and he's going to go right back down.
I mean, a decisive hit? No, I don't even think that's allowed. I mean, it's always a bit of it's always a judgment call of when you actually go for the unhook, right? You don't want to let it get so bad to the point where you're forced to go for a trade, or you're forced to kind of let the survivor hit stage 2. But also, 0 seconds of hang time means that Angels is now second stage, and you could have easily had another, like, at least 20-30 seconds of time bought to work on gens before you consider going for that unhook, right? Lusty getting a bit ahead of themselves, rushing it right there, and now Angels is in a really rough position as well. Nightlight is also just going to be content to be staying right near the hook, and yeah, why wouldn't you? With Angels going down there very quickly, you'll take it if you can, but you do have to be a little bit careful. This is buying some time here for survivors. They are likely going to get this generator over here completed. Whether they're able to get 2 more gens done, that's the name of the game, right?
Yeah, and I mean, even though Angels was basically farmed there off of the hook, Cynic's efficiency on the gens has been quite good so far. Ultra is almost about to break this 3-gen over by the hook, as he's on that generator off in the corner, and Nightlight's actually going to teleport away from the hook as Angels is going to die here. Lusty in the distance, barely misses that shot. That would have been huge if Nightlight hit that. Hallucination is going to come out. Lusty needs to remove this weakened here. He can't take a hit from the UVX right now, and he is actually going to dodge another one. Can he get rid of that weakened, though? Ultra finishes his gen in the distance, and the weakened is cleansed from Lusty. No 2-tap potential here for Nightlight, as Cynic needs to pop 1 more generator to get this upset.
Yeah, and 1 more generator seems actually pretty simple. It seems very doable right now. There isn't a great 3-gen for Nightlight to be defending. If you want to commit to any kind of chase at any given time, then that's going to be a problem for you to deal with. Nice injure through onto Nini is going to help, but also stunned up here buys more distance, more time for Nightlight. Also gives Nini a little more vision time to be looking through to get rid of that weakened state effect. Not able to remove it entirely, just a little bit more. And now we can see that the gen efficiency from before is not as great. You do have 2 generators, which are about 40% completed. Ruin has been doing its job, and the survivors opting not to get rid of that due to the Pentimento, right? It's a judgment call made on account of your win condition, knowing that you have 4 generators to do. If you needed all 5 gens, ideally you'd want to get rid of Ruin very quickly, because Ruin is really tough to overcome in a 3v1 situation, right? But here, they're opting, okay, we're just not going to get rid of it. We're just going to thug it out.
Nini is going to go down to the UVX blast there. That is not what you want for Cynic. That's a good start for Nightlight here to get back into this game. He's going to go for a long shot onto Ultra. It is going to miss. He has to slug Nini here, though. Poking is not really going to give him the pressure he needs here. Actually, is he? Yeah, he's actually going to pick Nini up as Angels continues to crank the Shack, that's Lusty working the Shack gen while injured. Hooking here is going to destroy the hallucination that's right behind him, and Nightlight needs to get a handle on this Shack gen before Cynic wins the game.
Yeah, around 50% now, or maybe 60, just thinking about how you can hear it through there. The Survivor's very hesitant to really make a move. Ruin is doing a ludicrous amount of work, but again, you know likely that if there is a Ruin, there'll probably be a Pentimento on the other side as well. Attempts the unhook there is going to be a 1-for-1 trade here. See how that works out.
Is potentially trouble for Cynic. 1 survivor on the hook and 2 injured. The snowball potential of the unknown is still there. If Nightlight can find something here, or if Cynic makes any mistakes, this could end in a tie.
Tries to get the bounce shot through there to catch both the hooked and unhooking survivor right now. A little bit of pressure comes out onto Lusty, so you think that maybe you're safe to reset if you're Ultra Ninny, but now it has to be communicated that the killer is running right back to you, so not going to be relenting with that pressure whatsoever. But this, I mean, ideally you'd say this buys Lusty the opportunity to get back and work on the Shack generator, but there's a hallucination right there.
And
Nightlight, right there.
Nightlight is watching that hallucination. He's waiting to see if Angels goes to dispel it. That is the kind of pressure increase that he needs, is if he can catch somebody trying to dispel a hallucination near a gen, he could get back into this game and I mean, honestly, slug all the survivors. They're all injured right now. If anybody gets caught near a hallucination, it could go south very quickly for Cynic.
Yeah, Ninny being forced to run away from this one was powering that generator through. And this is actually going to be the illusion gone here. Is going to be quickly replaced by Nightlight, and this is a juggling act that you have to be dealing with as the survivor side, right? Now Shack is simply not safe to be working on account of where that hallucination is. Very peculiar bounce going to be coming through there. And the survivors not having a clean opportunity to reset either, but also Nightlight not having a clean opportunity to hard commit to any of these.
Ninny gets weakened.
Hard commit.
Ninny gets weakened from far away. This means that if Nightlight can actually commit to a chase here. He takes the shot. It's not going to land. The Cynic survivors here are positioned in a triangle, all on different gens. They just need to do one, and Ultra is also going to take a weekend. Nightlight here is slowly ticking up pressure. If any of these Cynic survivors take another UVX shot, this could be huge for Nightlight. Goes for the shot onto the tree. Ninny is going to dodge it there. Good pathing from Ninny. But now, I mean, Ultra is also weakened, and he's working on a different generator. He fakes it out. Ninny going to dodge it once again. This is so tense here for both sides, as the generators are almost complete on opposite sides of the triangle. Ninny is still weakened. A shot is going to miss there onto Ultra. Ninny's weakened is almost up here, though. Nightlight needs to find something fast. He's going to teleport to the Shack gen. And Lusty is going to go down in the Shack. Good call out there from Nightlight. Shot goes over towards Ninny's gen. It's not going to hit. He's going to check Ultra's gen here.
Ninny's going to complete this gen. It's going to be happening. Another shot is going
towards
to be coming
Ninny's
through.
gen. It's going to miss again. It's almost at 99. He does not have time to get the cooldown here. Ninny is going to be sticking the gen, and it's going to be finished. Cynic upsets Eternal here in one of the final weeks of the season. Incredible play from them, and we would not want to see it on any other killer but the Unknown, Egdar.
Dude, what the hell was that? What the actual hell is happening in this bizarro world that we live in called DBDLeague right now? Eternal #1 team going down to Cynic #8 team right there. Ludicrous performance coming out. I mean, this is what we're talking about, the survivors having to pick it up, as eventually Nightlight is going to be slugging everyone, getting them all on the ground, securing all of those wins, wearing probably the most horrific skin in the game. I'm not sure if you can back me up here, but this skin makes me feel like very uncomfortable. But also it's strong survivor play. The patience from these survivors to never rush anything, to only commit when they really needed to, it worked absolutely perfectly in their favor, and they secure a well-fought, well-earned win. And obviously huge credit has to be given to Ultra as well for that phenomenal performance. I mean, a 4K1 would have been almost impossible in a situation like this, right? But a 4K2 just able to overcome that.
Cynic was just playing with fire for that entire game. You would have thought maybe they'll go reset in the corner. Maybe one of them will want to remove their weakened. No, they all sit on the generators. Multiple of them weakened, relying on their comms to dodge the shots from Nightlight. And I just can't stress enough that could have blown up in Nightlight's favor at any second.
Dude, there were two survivors injured and weakened on gens which are in UVX range. It is quite literally it's quite literally the equivalent of Cynic just putting themselves on the table and saying, look at us, we're going to win this one. And Cynic do keep their dreams alive of the playoffs. Of course, there are a lot of different things that need to go in their favor.
Yep,
but
like we said before, there is a laundry list of conditions that Cynic needs to meet to get into the playoffs, but their first step was beating Eternal. And today, they have done it.
Yeah, absolutely. Phenomenal play coming out from both of these teams right now. We are going to be handing it off. Was there anything that you wanted to say before we left off, Prion?
I've always been a Cynic believer. Can't wait to see them next week, and I'm never going to stop believing that they will make the playoffs.
Dude, I don't know what it is about like NA, and here's the thing. Also, the last Eternal match I did was the one where they got upset, and I'm also doing this one where they get upset. I think that all things considered, I will probably need to buy them dinner or something like that.